Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm back today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
And beginning novice mead maker. Let's add that to it now.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, I was at a workshop this weekend, which I wrote about. You can read the article because I kind of tracked my mileage going down and back and so on. But there was a gentleman there that is a nationally recognized judge in mead making competitions, who was sort of the instructor of the workshop. And I took my little tiny sample of my 1 month and 2 day old mead down to this workshop put on by the University of Nebraska. I got, there's a scoring system that they use from 20 to 50. I think it's actually lower, but they generally don't go below 20. They don't want to discourage people if they score a 15 or something. I don't know. But anyway, so he was judging some different meads, and he put one on our table for our little group of 5 to evaluate, so we could learn how that happens. And he came back and sat down and ran the tests and sniffed and tasted and so on, and he gave it a 30. Okay, so this was somebody that had been involved in mead making for a lot longer than I have. 1 month. And so he tasted mine. He gave it a 32. So that was fun. So that was my weekend. It was a lot of fun. Oh, and then I worked on scuffing up parts for the wings of a home-built airplane. So not much.
I think if I was the judge of that mead, I'd put on my LinkedIn that I'm a part-time judge.
Part-time judge.
Yeah, a part-time judge. That really throws people off, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody does this as a profession. He's been making mead for some time, and he's won 3 national awards, and the highest he's ever scored was a 48 out of 50. So
when I lived in Tennessee, I had a friend who was the youngest person ever to become a federal judge. And I used to ask him if he got to judge beauty contests or anything like that, because it'd just be kind of like off the wall. Right. Last week, I was told to call somebody and said, "Hey, this guy's a judge," and so I was, teasing him about it. But he goes,
I guess was it Troubled Times wants us to move on to
EVs, we'll get on to EVs. We sometimes should call it the off-topic show.
The off-topic, show. Well, I mean, it wasn't off topic because I used it as an opportunity. I've had this Bolt now for 5-6 months or something, and I've never really driven it outside the city. And I use the regen braking, and so I get really good efficiency, 5.2 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really kind of extraordinary. Exactly. I mean, there have been some points briefly where I even got up in the 6, right? But generally it's in the 5.2. So this was my first opportunity to drive it at highway speeds, for 80 miles round trip, and measure it. And darn it sank to 3.4 instead of my 5.2, which I found a little discouraging, but not really, because at even that rate, it's still 118 miles per gallon equivalent. Try that with your SUV.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well,
and the other one more thing. And what did that trip cost me? At OPPD utility rates, it cost me $2.13.
What if the magnets get wet?
Hey, it was raining and that car worked perfect. So not to worry, there are troubled times.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's supposed to happen if an EV gets wet.
Nothing.
What we do know, don't take your EV out into salt water. Okay, so it's a good rule with a gas car too.
Don't take any car out in salt water.
Salt water, right? Yeah, but if you want something nasty to happen to your car, it could happen in salt water. Doesn't mean it would. Doesn't mean it would, but it could.
Yeah, but that being said, do you know where Japan is? I think it's Japan is putting one of their AI data centers
Where
underwater offshore
to cool it off.
to handle the cooling problem. Yep.
I'm wondering how they're getting all the energy down there. That's, I guess it's just a matter of cables, but still,
Yeah.
that's an interesting concept.
Yep.
But you know, yeah, you
Well,
might
there's
get windmill cancer. You know, in Missouri, there's some data centers that are underground in salt mines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for that cooling, but it still keeps those caves pretty damn warm because it's supposed to be 52 down there, and you know,
Yeah, I
the data
imagine.
centers pump out the heat. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to get windmill cancer. That's
Yeah.
for sure. All right. So today's first story, since we were on last week, I think we may have touched on it, but Elon Musk's historic $1 trillion Tesla pay package was approved. So good for him. He's got something to shoot for, right? But he has all the things he's got to accomplish, like 20 million vehicles sold. It has to be making 400 billion a year in profit. Okay,
Well,
that's a big profit number to hit.
Now, is that just the automotive division, or is that all the other ones?
The whole company.
The whole company. So that's what, X, whatever they call it now, the XAI.
No, that doesn't count. That's not part of Tesla.
Not SpaceX.
No, not SpaceX, not XAI, not.
So just the automotive and probably the battery, and maybe the solar part. I think, is that part of the company still?
Yes. Yeah, and the battery storage.
Well, I can see the battery storage doing, making a more significant contribution, because you don't have a lot of other automotive makers involved in the battery storage business,
or solar, or robots,
or solar, or robots. Although Chinese are coming on strong there, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Data centers are going to make electricity skyrocket. So we just had the elections in Virginia. So Virginia reelects their whole House of Delegates every single year. And this year, energy was a big topic. Yeah. And it was 51 Democrats, 49 Republicans. And the Democrats now have 60 seats. So they gained 9 seats, and the governorship, and the lieutenant governor, and the state attorney general.
Yep.
But a lot of that was all based on energy. And a lot of people in Virginia really feel that the cuts to solar at the federal government level have hurt, even though those local delegates had nothing to do with it. It still affected their chances to be in election. This election in Virginia was considered to be an energy election, because 15% of the world's data centers are in Virginia specifically.
Wow. Yeah, well, you got DC, and you got the Navy base down in Norfolk, and
but you've got all kinds of first companies really on the internet. Had a lot of their headquarters there. Like I was mentioning, AOL, and so. That's a big difference. But anyways, back to Tesla. He has so it had 75% support. 75% of shareholders voted for it. But and it says like it could make Musk the world's first trillionaire if performance targets are met. But he has to 6x the revenue. I don't know how big the 400 billion was in terms of increasing their profit, but some of the numbers are just fantastical as to what.
Yeah. So what are the odds that he'll make that and he'll be the first trillionaire?
I don't know. He'll whether they do that or not, he'll probably be the first trillionaire anyways. You want him or Larry Ellison.
Yeah. Or Oracle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so something related to AI. Larry has been big in computer software, and then cloud storage, and cloud storage has turned into AI storage,
right? And
it just keeps getting bigger. So you just you don't know for sure, but one of them, or maybe Sam Altman. OpenAI is certainly worth a lot of money. I don't know what percentage of OpenAI Sam Altman owns, but there'll probably be a $1 trillion company soon.
Yeah. Did you see, by the way, did you see that he wants his money refunded that he put down for the second generation Roadster?
Yes. I
And
think
then,
that was,
and then do you know who approached him and said, "Hey, why don't you buy our Roadster?" You remember our friends at Longbow?
oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder if he did.
I haven't heard. I don't know. I haven't seen anything on it.
I've noticed that our videos about Longbow have been getting more views recently.
Good.
So,
Well,
so
that's what,
maybe that triggered that.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So because I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, why are people watching these?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, it's
just kind of
because
random.
Longbow reached out to him and said, "Here, we'll sell you one of our cars." So,
Yeah, it's they were good guys, and of course they were with Tesla, but that is kind of funny. I mean, it's a good little marketing play for them if you can get tied into Sam Altman.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Rivian. Rivian stock surges 25% on strong Q3 results. We're showing them at $17 in the scrolling chat thing
Oh, just
widget.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah, and
My
the question
paltry
is,
$300 worth of shares is growing.
yep, there you go. Is a rally to $30 possible? Well, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
I hope so. That'll be great.
Rivian's quarter.
That will triple my original investment if it does.
Rivian's Q3 revenue jumped 78% year over year to 1.56 billion, exceeding expectations. They achieved gross profit, not net profit, gross profit, just meaning the profit for overall from the units, not taking the company overhead into factor,
Right.
was $24 million. Okay, which that's still something, right? That certainly doesn't cover their company overhead.
Oh,
But
no.
Forbes
Go ahead.
Forbes analysis suggests stock could reach $30, 2 times current levels, if the company successfully launches its mass market R2 SUV in 2026 at approximately 45 grand, with potential revenues reaching about 13 billion by 2028.
Yeah.
And part of that is, can they actually launch that car at $45,000?
Right.
Okay, that's the kicker, because we really thought the Volvo EX30 was going to hit the US at what, 35,000, and it ended up being a $45,000 SUV. So
Yeah, it's to be seen, of course. I mean, I hope so. That I like that. It looks like the R2. R2. Actually better than the original ones. So we shall see.
I mean, the R1 really looks. You look at it, you think, is that a Range Rover?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of vehicles look Range Rover-ish nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's not. I can't really point fingers like, at Rivian, because the Ford Bronco, for a while, the original Ford Explorer, kind of, not the original, but the Explorer's model that came out, I think, in 2011,
right,
kind of looked that way. You could tell
and
there
you've
was
got
some
you've
Range
got
Rover
this,
influence.
yeah, and you've got the Scout coming out here shortly.
Yeah, another one. Yeah. All right. So while the news is good for Rivian, Lucid cuts 2025 production forecast amid supply challenges.
Mm-hmm.
They lowered their forecast to 18,000 vehicles as supply chain issues persist, which, they were making like 1,500 vehicles a couple of years ago. Okay. 18,000 doesn't seem like the end of the world, right? Q3 deliveries rose 47% to 4,078 units. But the company continues to face challenges with Gravity SUV production ramp up. But the fact that the Gravity SUV is happening is a big deal. Tariff costs hit $54 million in Q2 alone, while the elimination of federal EV tax credits creates additional headwinds for both Lucid and Rivian. Yet, they're going on. But let's see. Musk is just a branding person like Trump. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
That's a lot of why people get paid to represent things is because they have their own personal brand. It's hard really to become.
Well, how many millions of people does he have on X now? That follow him. So, yeah.
Um, yeah, it makes I don't know. It's crazy how many people follow him on X. All right, Trump's anti-EV policies make gas cars more expensive.
Yeah, I thought I would post that one. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, elimination of the $7,500 federal EV tax credit is creating a double-digit % headwind to industry volumes, according to Goldman Sachs. Tariffs on auto parts from Canada and Mexico adding a couple $1,000s per unit to EV costs, but they're doing that to gas cars too. Elimination of fines for failing to meet fuel efficiency rules hurts EV makers who sold credits to offset penalties. RIVN's credit sales dropped from 300 million to 160 million. But at the same time, it's driven the average price for a gas car. I think it just broke 50,000.
I think I remember seeing that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. The average sticker price for a new car topped $50,000 for the first time in September. They're not just getting more expensive to buy. Gas cars are getting more expensive to own. For most Americans, gasoline is their single largest energy expenditure, about $2,930 per household each year on average. So that's about $250 a month average for a family.
Wouldn't surprise me. It was interesting that I was talking when I got to this workshop down in Nebraska City. The car just pulled in ahead of me was a Prius vintage 2009, like mine. I don't know exactly the year, but so I was asking the gentleman how he liked it and so on. And, how did he use it? And he said, well, apparently I gathered they live somewhere outside of Omaha, and his wife uses it to commute to, I guess, somewhere in North Omaha, I think he told me. And he said, I said, well, should be saving gas on it. And he says, well, not really. He says, because, she's driving on the interstate at high speeds, and you can't take advantage that much of the auto stop start function in a Prius, right? The only real advantage of saving gasoline in a Prius is when you pull up to a light and the engine turns off and you're not burning gas. And then it automatically turns on when you hit the accelerator and you pull ahead. And of course, when you're driving on an interstate, that doesn't happen. So he was sort of disappointed. I don't know how long he's had it, but he was kind of disappointed that they were spending about the same amount of money on driving the Prius as they had apparently been with whatever their previous car was, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the car manufacturers are getting regulation whiplash because there's a whole bunch of stuff. It just keeps flip-flopping back and forth every 4 years on what will happen with emission standards, different things like that.
In a way, we have to accept blame as consumers and as voters because, I know these guys. If you look at Japan, you look at China, whatever, they have these long-range strategic plans that they can carry out and get government, support behind them. Where here, one administration says, "Yep, we're going to." I came into this when Bill Clinton was president, okay, and he was all for the program he launched to try to compete was the new generation vehicle, the NGV or whatever it was called program. And so the car makers got behind that. And then George Bush Jr. came in and no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to get rid of all that. We're going to focus on hydrogen. Well, now the guy's got to start looking at hydrogen. And then that was okay for, until Obama came in, and now we're back to EVs and we're going to encourage that and fund that. It's just, wow. I would hate to be in the shoes of Mary Barra and then the rest of the gang in the auto industry. They're trying to keep track of all that. How do you plan? Because it takes 5 to 7 years to bring out a new car model. By the time you do all of the design and verification and manufacture, setting that all up, and then you got every 4 years, there's like you say, a whiplash.
Yeah. Well, I remember a few years ago there was a Congress session, and this may have been like during Obama's second term. People called it the Do Nothing Congress because they weren't passing any bills. And it was kind of funny because I'm like, well, what do you want? You want more laws? I'm just like, how many more laws do we need, right? And it sometimes there has to be kind of a happy balance. I realize a lot of the bills they passed have more to do with than just being laws, but it would be, it's funny to see. But as a politician, if you're president, you have to show you're doing something, right? So the whole idea that it was, hydrogen, then it was EVs and this other things. It's like, I get it. And then you have to show you're doing something different than the last guy, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes that stuff just gets out of hand. All right. So RIVN has expanded their adventure network to 850 plus chargers. Apparently, in the last quarter, something like 40% of all people that use the RIVN network were not using RIVN vehicles. So they're getting significant use from other brands on their charging network.
Well, that's a good thing. Good for them.
Yes. Well, that's what we want, right? We want to.
That's really what.
Yeah. Companies sharing their charger network, and they don't have any near us.
No, they're generally out west. Like I said, I'm intrigued by the Southwest and the potteries and the various cultures, native cultures that inhabited that area, and how they did what they did is just amazing. So yeah, so if I were doing that and I were RIVN, I'd probably want to start in some. And if you look at where the national parks, most of the national parks are visited, it's either West Coast or East Coast. There's not a lot of heavy traffic, the public citizenry visiting national parks in the center of the country. You can see that from that map.
Right.
It's all West Coast and East Coast.
So these are mostly in national parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that explains it. We don't have I don't know. We probably have a national park somewhere in Nebraska. I just never.
I think we only have a national forest. We also have the national grassland up around Shadron, but we don't have any officially designated national parks like, Yosemite and Grand Canyon and, those types of things. Because we don't have those kind of, we have interesting stuff here. The Ashfall State Park and the other prehistoric sites out in western Nebraska. What is that one? I can't think of it just right at the moment. But we've got some really interesting stuff here. It's just they're state parks and they're not on the same level as you would find with. I think the closest one possibly is up in North Dakota. The National Badlands or something like that.
Let me see. And that's down in Arizona.
Yeah, Saguaro, yeah.
Yeah. So RIVN has both the CCS1 and NACS connectors on their chargers now.
Oh, good for them. Of course, again, they don't have, 850 is still a significant number, but it's not like how many thousands does Tesla have? They don't have to change theirs.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So they started doing this in July. They only 2% currently have the NACS on them so far.
Okay.
But they are adding it to them. So it will roll out across the network. So the network is in the best position to seamlessly support all types of electric vehicles. They don't have CHAdeMO. Well, why don't they have CHAdeMO? Because it's just the one car, right?
Because it's just the one car, and I don't know. Is the CHAdeMO still on the new Leaf?
No, I think they've switched to NACS as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been Nissan on the
I mean,
Chatamo.
the Chatamo was a good idea. That was fast charging. It's just it never caught on here.
All right, Bill, I saw you brought up another article about the EV1. And so,
This is a great video. This guy did a lot of research into how come this car escaped being crushed, and can GM actually enforce their loan? I think you called it because they loaned. Basically what they did is, we're going to loan this out to educational institutions, and you can't restore it, you can't make it drivable again. It's just there for educational and static exhibition purposes. So he goes into, how did this one car, VIN number 212, how did it escape being crushed in all, all of the other 1,000, he gave the numbers, like a little over, I think like 1,100 EV1s that were built, all but like 40 of them were crushed. How did this one end up avoiding the crusher? It's a fascinating, he really did an interesting research on this to explain all the legal things in and out of how this car, probably GM does not have any legs to stand on to claim this car.
yeah, that one's it is just kind of fun to see that, right? One of the first electric vehicles, and this is from the 90s.
Late 90s, yep.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first, like I said, it's VIN number 212. So it's an extremely early, early version of the car.
All right. So India manufactures solar panels. Adani, the guy that Trump pardoned a few months ago.
Wind turbines.
Yes. Well, they have shipped 15 gigawatts of solar modules so far. So that's pushing. I've got two India articles today, and that was one of them. Adani Solar has shipped 15,000 megawatts or 15 gigawatts of solar modules across domestic and international markets, becoming the first and fastest Indian manufacturer to achieve this feat. 5,000 megawatts exported, 10,000 megawatts deployed within India. It's the equivalent of 28 million units, covering about 75 football fields. Now, what wasn't clear from the article is this was American football or foreign football.
And I would guess probably foreign football. Soccer, what we call soccer. Everybody else calls football. Yeah. Does it indicate how many of those were kept internally within India, and how many were
10,000 megawatts.
10,000 megawatts were deployed in India, and the rest of them were
exported
to probably, I would imagine, Africa and Middle East. And
let's see if it gives me data. It doesn't really give me data on what countries they were exporting to, but I would assume a lot of that was probably Africa, yes, but it's hard to say for sure. And still, that's a big number, right? So ever since Adani got pardoned earlier this year, he's gotten in trouble with under investigation again by the U.S. because he was buying Russian oil. And his cargo ships that were hauling the oil were like turning off their tracking system. Some stuff like that. Yeah.
Part of the Russia's ghost fleet.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. It wasn't a Russian ship. It just Russian oil, but
no, it was leased by whoever, Luke Oil or whoever handles those kinds of things.
Yeah, anyways, all right, and an organization in India called NTPC Green begins land work for 25 gigawatt solar parks in Rajasthan. 25 gigawatt solar park. That is
like how many acres is that, I wonder?
Well, that's 12,500 football fields.
I don't know. What's the difference? I never looked this up. What's the difference in size between a soccer field and a...
About 10 yards.
Longer or wider or what?
Longer.
Is this about the same width? I mean,
Yeah,
when I watch it on television, it seems like, God, that's a really big field, compared
yeah,
to
it's
a
like,
football field.
yeah, it's generally you have the end zones for U.S. football included in a soccer pitch.
Okay.
So AI bubble will be 10 times worse than the housing bubble. I don't know. I hear people talk about things like this. I mean,
Yeah.
if something really comes in and severely disrupts what's going on in AI, because you've got NVIDIA is now worth $5 trillion, but NVIDIA is simply providing computer parts. Okay.
Yeah. Did you see SoftBank sold out there? I don't know. It was like $590 billion of by selling their NVIDIA shares.
I guess time to cash out, right?
Time to cash out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to speculate what's going to go on there. It's like me looking at the nuclear stocks. I've been following the nuclear stocks for long enough now that I'm really starting to notice patterns. We don't have ASPI up, but ASPI is one that it seems to drop down to the high $8 range and
Right.
then go up to the low $12 range. And right now, it's just about to drop back into that $8 range. And it's like one of the things, like when it goes below 9, it looks like it's probably a good idea to buy.
Yeah.
Ride it till it gets past 11, unload it, and then wait for it to come back down again. It's just like
Right.
Oclo on here. I'm thinking Oclo drops below $90 in the next week, and then it's time to buy it again.
Yeah.
And watch it right up to $200 and then sell it.
So what? So you're saying I should take my profits out of Rivian and wait for them to go back down to $10?
I think no, I'm not. Rivian's not in that space.
Okay, good.
So it's a different technology.
Yeah.
But I watch the nuclear ones. What'll happen is they'll start. Trump will do something and mention nuclear energy. The stocks will go flying. Okay,
Right.
and then somebody will come along and it's like, hey, these guys have no revenue. It's overpriced, and somebody like Kathy Woods will go off and sell a few $1 million worth.
Right.
And all of a sudden everybody else decides,
Wants to do the same thing.
market.
Yeah.
And so they all sell, and then the stock tumbles. But I rode Oclo from 115 to 175. It maxed at 193 though.
Okay.
So it went higher than that. But I'm waiting for it. I'm pretty sure it's going to drop below 90 this time around. We'll see.
Okay.
If you remove gains from AI, the economy grew by only 0.1% last quarter. So, Matt, this is kind of interesting. In the venture capital space, it's very difficult to raise money for anything that is not AI related. Nobody wants to invest in anything else. Okay.
Yeah.
They'll invest in real estate or some other things, but as far as good ideas or whatever, nobody really wants to go after something if it's not AI. Overvalued companies are 35% of S&P. About half of all publicly traded companies don't turn a profit, and that always seems hard to fathom, that so much money is invested in all these companies, but a lot of them, like the ones I was given in the nuclear space, a lot of these companies are worth north of $10 billion, and they've never really had any actual revenue.
Never had any revenue because they're not generating any power yet.
They're just research and development companies,
Right.
essentially, that have contracts pushing stuff forward. I'm going out and actively seeking customers for those reactors. Like this weekend, I met with 3 people that can use them in 3 different countries. While I was in Arizona, I had meetings down there, and that need nuclear reactors for manufacturing in different parts of the world.
Yeah, but I should add that I just posted a story over the weekend where, and I don't remember who, it's Forbes or Fortune or somebody, Wired, someone pointed out that we still haven't solved the age-old problem of what do we do with the waste.
I've got that handled. I've got a technology that's going to get rid of 99% of nuclear waste.
You personally? No.
My company, we're going to invest heavily in this technology.
Okay.
It,
Good.
it'll
What
take.
how do you detoxify it, or do you just
So
simply
here's what it's doing.
recycle?
So what it's doing is it's allowing in the specific technology, it's taking the uranium and burning it for 25 years versus 6. Okay, which is part of it. That's a real simplified explanation.
Okay.
But it's taking the half-life of the uranium from 10,000 years to 150.
Oh, okay. So you're using more of the radioactivity
Yes,
than we're currently able
by
to do.
far more
Oh,
effective.
interesting.
But right now in France, they're able to take. ASPI dropped to $8.68. It's on our thing, so it's actually
Oh, okay.
that's a reasonable number to enter that stock at.
Okay.
I'm not giving
You
you
want
advice.
you want to
Just
give
saying.
put a call to your broker, or?
Yeah, I will after this. I can just go on Think or Swim. Okay. Anyways, but the United States requires all nuclear waste to be stored on site beside the nuclear reactors. So
Right.
every nuclear power plant in the United States has a nuclear waste pit where they store their nuclear waste.
That
Okay.
direction from where I live right now.
Yeah, there you go. In France, they recycle and can use up about 75% of that nuclear waste and reuse it. Okay. The United States doesn't do this yet. ASPI that I'm pointing on here, they're
Right.
one of the companies that they buy spent nuclear fuel, reprocess it, and resell it. And they're making the new generation of TRISO nuclear fuel that 4th generation reactors are going to require.
Okay.
So that's
Where are they doing this?
South Africa.
Oh, okay.
They're on the New York Stock Exchange, but they're a South African company.
Technically, or by way of myth,
Mhm.
the very first nuclear reactor reactions took place in South Africa
Mhm.
some hundreds of millions of years ago. Did you ever look at that?
I've seen some things where it looks like nuclear reactions happened in
Yeah,
some
maybe
places.
some type of natural. I mean, obviously, well, I don't know. Maybe there was an advanced civilization here 100 million years ago. Who knows? But yeah, so that seems appropriate that you do it down there.
Yeah. And Matt, I do stuff I'm starting to do stuff more in the, not just nuclear, but in the power space.
Right.
I'm doing some things with other types of energy too. I'm looking at working on municipal solid waste and some other things to provide power to customers before we're able to provide them nuclear energy.
Right. So have you seen my story on combining vertical solar and bees?
No, and bees. No, I wasn't expecting bees on my
You
bingo.
weren't expecting. Now we know that agrivoltaics is basically what
Mhm.
you have solar panels and you grow in grass under it or whatever, and you have sheep or goats, and in some cases even cattle that are that are grazing that ground, and you're also generating power and so on. So as a result of not only was I measuring the energy usage of my bolt, I came up with an idea. Why don't we take and combine vertical solar and its advantages
Mhm.
and honeybees, right? Instead of sheep, you have a whole field of wildflowers and you have bees. Then the flowers are planted so that there's always something for the bees to pollinate. And so you take that energy, or you take the honey, and then you take half of that and you can sell it retail, for $4, $5, $6, $7, probably close to $7 or $8 a pound, because it's all organic in that sense. But then you take the other half of the output of this, and this is just an acre area, okay?
Mhm.
And you take that single acre area and you take half of that honey and you convert it into mead, right? And you
If we
sell
need more beer.
the power with a power purchase agreement for 20 years to like OPPD, for example, and it will generate 605 gigawatts. I forget now, but it's in my LinkedIn article, but you're generating a lot of energy. And because the panels are vertical, they generate more stable power year round than the traditional, sloped panels at, latitude plus 15 degrees. And yeah, there we go. We can call it electric honey. Okay. And when you combine the power and you combine the honey, either sold retail or converted over into mead, which is I'm involved in and learning a lot about, that 1 acre, if I were to plant that in typical row crops, corn or soybeans, I would lose money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I plant it the way I've been describing here, that 1 acre will generate as much as $345,000 over that 20-year period of time.
Wow.
1 acre.
Yeah,
guess what business I'm going in? No.
There you go. Yeah, but don't you think it would make the honeybees ornery? Well, that's some ornery bees.
Ornery or honorary?
Ornery. They're angry. Make them angry.
Oh, the Africanized bees.
No, we're not saying to make them Africanized. I'm just saying it'll make them angry.
Oh,
that's some angry bees.
No, you want it. Well, if you give them, plenty of wild clover and different black-eyed Susans and all the different kinds of wildflowers that were native to Nebraska. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Native to Nebraska. With that you can generate. Like I said, you can generate. Wow, I forget. I think they were just in using half of the honey off of the hives on that acre ground would generate something like $45,000 in mead sales.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
No. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to respond to what Matt was saying. So one of the big things you're seeing, when you're talking about the grid not equipped to handle the AI, is so many of these data centers are now having dedicated power. And this is kind of what I'm dealing with in the nuclear space too. The idea is to site your energy right at where the energy is going to be used versus, so when Google puts a data center, let's say in Nebraska, they'll have a corresponding, say, 600 megawatts of solar.
That way behind me a few miles.
But the solar may be out somewhere in western Nebraska where it's nowhere near the data center.
Right.
But so what'll happen is the power company and Google will do some type of trade-off to make that work out. But right now in the whole world, all gas turbines for LNG energy production are sold out till 2029. People are actually occasionally selling their position in line with the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Burners that normally go for 25 million a piece are selling for upwards of 65-70 million dollars each on a flip right now. Okay, so there's massive money being on it. The XAI data center in Memphis has 14 of those gas turbines in downtown Memphis.
And the neighbors are not happy.
No, they're not. I'm not familiar with FLNG, but I'm sure it's a natural gas. The name like that.
Probably Florida natural gas.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, FLNG, LNG. So it's probably effing LNG. No, but like FUV, the effing utility vehicle company, they went out of business. That they went out of business quietly though. Nobody really complained.
Nobody noticed. Yeah.
Nobody noticed they went out of business. So what's happening is I'm looking at ways to provide power to specific customers, not the power companies, but the specific customers, as opposed to selling into the grid. So
more microgrid type of arrangement.
Yeah, off-grid, microgrid, and then our excess we might sell to the grid. Yeah. But Yeah, so that's what's kind of happening is, as opposed to the data centers, they're trying to get all of these nuclear facilities reopened to ship power to their data centers, but in reality, they want to have their own power that's dedicated to them. Anyways, Bill, that's all I've got for today.
Okay, so let me just add one more thing
Okay.
before we ring off here. I had the opportunity last week to interview a gentleman called Eric Moyer. You can read that. That was an interesting thing. We took him over to the local park here. I sat him down. Beautiful fall leaves, gorgeous day. Had him, made video, and then discovered after he drove off that I never got a piece of the audio. Great video, but no audio because the new wireless microphones that I had purchased specifically for this event, I forgot to turn on.
Oh, well, you know.
But anyway, you can read the results of the interview on the website. So he's forgiven me.
No.
He's running. Yeah, I should admit, I interviewed him because he's running for Congress for the 1st Congressional District in Nebraska, which I hope he wins, but Nebraska's pretty strongly red state. But what's interesting about it is he drives a 2025 Jeep Wagoneer S, which is Jeep's very first all-electric SUV.
Oh,
and the reason he bought it, it's his wife's car, but the reason he bought it is because it's so much cheaper to drive because it's electric and because it has roughly 300 miles range. He can pretty well drive it all through the district, which basically stretches from the northern border of Nebraska to the southern border, and then west to like sort of Grand Island, that area, except for that little piece immediately around Omaha. That's District 2. But he's got the rest of that. It's like 650, is it 1,000? 6,500 square miles, and something like about 650,000 residents. Yeah. So
I tried to make when you said 650. You're starting to say 650,000, but it's it's
surprising.
Populated.
It includes Lincoln, Fremont, Columbus, that area. So it's a fairly large thing. But yeah, he says the reason I do, he says I can drive so much cheaper on this and go. He said I already got 8,000 miles on this thing going out. So it's an interesting interview. It was fun sitting down and talking to him, and then to discover, to my chagrin and embarrassment, that I did not turn on the microphone. So I hastily wrote up a print article for it. So anyway, that's enough. We can ring off. Thanks for everybody.
Thanks everyone for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with our engineer, Mike Herzog.